Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump ruined my day. I have this gigantic position in Tesla, 5 whole shares getting destroyed today. So it's a whole big mess. So we brought the boys together to figure out what's going on. Everybody was bullish on Tesla last week across the board after the infamous Tim Walz bottom. Everybody right here said Tesla's a buy, and it went up something like 27%. Today, things took a turn for the worse. President Trump's talking about auto tariffs, and there's a lot of Tesla haters out there in the news. So we need to figure out what's going on. Okay, so Sammy, I'm going to start with you. So between Sammy and I, we own 2,505 shares of Tesla. 5 of them are mine, and 2,500 are Sammy's. So, Sammy, we just had a little conversation offline about Tesla. You said you are sticking with it. Please tell us why.
Because, so as I said, Mike, the audience wasn't live yet. So I said, when I feel like I caught a bottom, I don't let it go. Because when the market goes against me and I hold, it just doesn't let me off the hook easily. It just keeps going against me, So I've learned also, when I get it right, I better make it pay, right, for all these other losing plays. So I feel like if you look at the weekly chart of Tesla, it bottomed. And the next target on it, the target for it is about 340 or that declining 20 on the weekly chart. Oh, I guess I'm sharing the screen. So here we go. So, I feel, to me, this is the bottom, and we should be higher to about here. Okay, that's 340. Who knows? It's 342, I think, is the high. Yeah, you see, it's 342.40 in the upper left corner. It shows you the high. But somewhere here is where I would consider exiting. Will it get up there? I don't know. I may have to manage it. But for now, since I caught it at the bottom at 235, so it's up 100K actually, I'm not going to let it go. Short term on the daily chart, it is in the first area of consolidation here, which is resistance, right? So it might come back in. Now, if it comes all the way back in, I literally will have given back 100K. Honestly, it was up 135 yesterday or something like this at the top. But that's my rule, is if I feel like I caught the bottom on a longer term play, I don't let it go easily. If I give it back, I give it back. But my target is up here somewhere, 340, depending on what it looks like when it's up there, hopefully in the next few weeks. So that's kind of my take on Tesla right now. Yes, sure, it might come in a little bit. The market is also coming in a lot more than Tesla. If you say to me, wait a second, I understand what you're saying, but we are in a bear market, and this bounce here was only short term, and we are still lower. If you say that to me, and it might be true, it might be the case, then yes, I should be out of the Tesla, and I should be out of everything long term, just about, except for things that are on their own page. So what I'm saying is, if you think the market is we're in a long-term bearish market, like we're going to have a recession, all that stuff, then Tesla or no Tesla or anywhere, I should be out of all of them. But I'm not sure that we are in a longer-term bearish market. It's not an easy market to gauge. We topped out casually. We bottomed also casually. It wasn't like a clear bottom, right? So we'll see. We'll find out. But I am sticking with my Tesla position. All right?
Awesome. Very happy to hear it. Okay, so we're going to bring in Derek. So Derek is short Tesla right now. So we have a clash of the Titans. This is very, very exciting for me.
Derek, so, yeah. Sorry, so I was just going to say like a couple things off of what Sammy said. First of all, one thing that he just described, and sure, it's related to his Tesla position, but I think it speaks more to his approach on how to make money in this industry more than anything. He said something that I absolutely and utterly love. He said, I am willing to give back 6 figures of open P&L that I have on this Tesla position in order to potentially make more. I can't even describe how much I love that. That's one of my favorite things in trading, is to risk money that I've already made in order to potentially make more. I hate putting on risk, actually. Like when I first press that button and there's a chance that the second I press that long button, a tariff announcement comes out and the entire market implodes and I immediately like lose my hard-earned money. I hate that. But when I have open P&L that's working for me, and I think that there's the potential to be able to make more, that is like the best way to just build on making more and more money in this business. A very common error that a lot of traders make, as soon as they see green on the screen, they're like, oh my God, sell, 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 let me lock it away. And there's an old saying in trading that is, you don't go broke taking profits. And I can't disagree with that saying more. Like if the second you see green on your screen, you're immediately liquidating your positions, you are never going to make money, because you're always going to be there for the full losses, but you're never going to really be there to maximize the gains. So regardless of my thought process in Tesla or Sammy's thought process in Tesla, I just really wanted to highlight what he just said there, because I think that is absolutely one of the keys to being a successful trader, is knowing how to really maximize your P&L on things. Now, when it comes to Tesla, to talk about that a little bit more specifically, maybe I can throw a screen share up here really quick as well. Cool. I think I should be good now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to Tesla, the first thing I would say is that I'm always starting with the market right now before I work on the individual stocks. I've been saying that the last couple of weeks, just because the movements have been so big. I had really been looking for this market bounce back. I had said anywhere between 570 and 582 for this bounce back. Now we're pulling back a little bit today. We'll see if it turns into something more. I actually think that we should still be able to stabilize at some point. We worked our way all the way up to 576, and that was with a $1.70 ex-dividend in the SPYs on the way up as well. So we caught that bounce. And off that bounce, I really liked the Tesla long. We all did. We all talked about it last week. Tesla long through 240, the break of this little pattern here to the upside to give a big boost. And what I was saying was that breakthrough 240 can give you a move to somewhere between 280 and 300 as an initial target. And I know that's a pretty wide range, but let's watch where Tesla gets to in conjunction with how the market trades to then see what an appropriate, at least short-term target is. I know Sammy's looking at the weekly, which is giving him an even bigger target. I'm looking a little bit more at the daily, which is giving me a little bit of a smaller target on that upside move. And then I actually also felt that somewhere in this 280 area to 300 area, there might actually be a renewed short opportunity to come in. So incredible long, incredible move higher, incredible move with the market as well. I think that we're probably all in agreement here that the market right now has gotten into a very, very tricky area, especially with all the macro stuff that's going on. There's not really like a new great setup here in the market. I could really genuinely see big picture things play out where we work our way all the way back to above 600, or things play out where we make new lows and kind of continue a bear market. I have more uncertainty here in these mid 570s than I have had anywhere for this market in quite some time. I was very bearish at this high. I was really bullish at this low. Here, I just have a tremendous amount of uncertainty. And also, just because we're making some bigger picture points about how to make money in this business, knowing when you feel like you have certainty and an edge and a really good trade setup and pushing it, versus knowing when you don't feel like you have as much of an edge and saying, hey, this is my opportunity to take a half step back. I don't need to trade as heavy when I don't have as much conviction, is also, I think, one of the keys to success in the business. So for me personally, I was very, very long into this bounce. I've been liquidating those bounces, liquidating my longs into this bounce. And my general idea had been, if we get to SPY 580, especially if it happens in a straight up move with no new setup, I want to have my swing positions, and I always have swing positions on, really getting much closer to being market neutral at that point. So I've had 20 something longs on. I was one of the longest I've ever been in my entire career at these lows. Did really well into this bounce back. Now I have liquidated like 2/3 or even more of my net long exposure that I had on. And also, just because I want to get a little bit more neutral, I started to put some shorts on. Honestly, I felt I was putting them on a little bit early. It's working out today because we're having this bigger down move. But in the last day or two, I have shorted. I've got Palantir short. I had TQQQ short. I actually covered that already into this down move. Tesla short. I shorted MSTR today. So starting to get those shorts on to help me counterbalance some of the longs as we get into this area. Now, here's the final thing that I'm going to say, and this will be the part that riles everybody up a little bit. In these types of bounces in these weaker markets, the crappiest stocks typically lead. The worst stocks that are out there, the most expensive stocks that are out there, typically give the biggest bounces. And that was one of the reasons why I was so bullish on Tesla, because it's such a piece of garbage. Because I thought that being such a piece of garbage, it would be able to give one of the biggest, most violent bounces of all the stocks that's out there. And guess what? That's 100% right. But it doesn't negate the fact that it's trading at 140 PE with growth at 1%, and no one wants to buy their cars. Sure, they've got some used car salesman robotic event today that maybe helps hold the stock up a little bit. But I think that when I want to put shorts back on, which I just did really from a portfolio perspective, Tesla is one of the first ones I go after. With that said, I'm not short Tesla for new lows. I'm short Tesla as a trade. So one of the really cool things about Sammy and I trading on opposite sides right now is that we actually could both make money. I'm really just looking for a move back to 265 to 270. I'm actually almost there now in this down move from where I shorted. Just a quick pullback trade off of this really big bounce that it had is really all that I'm looking for, and also balances out my portfolio a little bit. I hope that we both make money. He's already up 6 figures on the trade. I hope that it pulls back just enough for me to fully liquidate my position, put some money in my pocket. Then we get that pivot low, and this thing explodes back higher so that Sammy can turn his 6 figures into 7 figures. That's what I'm genuinely looking for. But that's my entire thought process on it.
So, Derek, you're saying that you're not in love with Tesla? So we're not clear.
Derek, well said, by the way. Well spoken.
And by the way, folks, if you think things are getting heated now, we're going to be talking about Chicago pizza later on. So buckle up. It's going to get crazy in here. Okay. All right. JR, very quickly, you also were a lover of Tesla last week.
I just want to say, if I could just find a way to capture and bottle Derek's intense, grumpy Irish uncle energy and just bottle it up, I swear to God, I think I could just retire from trading forever. That was epic, dude. One of the best rants ever. Love it. Freaking love it. I'm just having so much fun in this market. I think it's wild. I think it's just chock full of opportunity every day. Today was big boy pants type of gas station sushi. Okay, we had a lot of complications technically in the market. We woke up this morning and I told can I get a screen real quick?
Yeah, you have to, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Somebody from effing StreamYard needs to fix the platform.
Okay, so I told my traders, okay, you're looking at like a doji sandwich, which would be, igniting bar, little doji bar. It's not an inside bar, technically a 1 to 3 because it's out, it's higher than the prior bar, but it's basically the same idea. Ignition, resting bar, ignition. I said we could be in that scenario. I'm not loving the order flow, and I said you could have failure at the 200 and kind of an evening star reversal back to the 5 SMA or the 80 MA today. So I said, caution, guys. This is a point of a real point of potential reversal. And I didn't have the conviction that I had on Monday at all. And, for all the hoopla we're seeing about a bottom, right, there's a lot of dudes drawing this type of pattern here. Where's my drawing tool? Right there. There's a lot of dudes drawing this kind of wedge here, bearish consolidation into a potential leg lower, right? So we got some sellers today and some uncertainty. Technically, Tesla to me has been a treasure trove of long and short plays today. It's just been wonderful. I was so convinced that Tesla was going to be a treasure trove of trading opportunities that on Friday I just bought TSLL so I could trade Tesla unencumbered out of the same account. I guess there's a lot of different ways to handle that, but Tesla today just providing a treasure trove of short and long opportunities. I mean, who's not going to love a chart like this, right? You got drama, comedy, horror, every genre here, right? Your failed V bottom breakout, your shooting star reversal with a 2-wave corrective, your V platform that sucked in the shorts and then took the longs for a ride to the 2-minute 200, your ledging reversal short here. I mean, we played every one of these today and just had an absolute riotous fun time. The real question is, going back to Tesla, I want to just give my 2 cents here, if I may. I completely agree with Sammy's analysis, right? Tesla had obviously a very clear bottoming pattern, unlike the market, which has been orderly but hasn't given us a lot of bottoming signals. Tesla had climactic volume on the 10th, then a shakeout bar that took us right back to a rally to the top of the range, then a very sedate pivot low, and then that just gave us a beautiful little reversal wedgie here. So we had climactic volume, then we had confirmation volume on the Friday, clear buy signal, and then a beautiful follow-through move. And now we're just ping-ponging between the 21 and the 200, but nothing is technically broken here, okay? We're having a pullback to the daily 21 EMA, and the likelihood, in my opinion, okay, is that we hold the gap, we consolidate, reaccumulate, and go higher. So I'm not particularly worried. I had a lot of TSLL, like an embarrassing amount, I sold a bunch into strength there into the daily 200. But as soon as we consolidate this move, which may take several days, I see a secondary leg higher into 340, 350. Something like that. So I'm still bullish on Tesla, and I don't think anything has technically changed here in terms of the technical picture and any damage to the name. We're still coming out of a very clear and concise accumulation picture. We had our strong markup, and the pullback, has held the mid-length moving average, the 21 EMA. So for now, there's nothing to really do here other than to wait for the consolidation and the prevailing trend, which in my opinion is higher, to take place.
Okay. All right. Thank you, JR.
No problem.
So I want to talk about China. So it seems like a couple of weeks ago, everybody in the universe was bulled up on China. Looking a little shaky since then. So Sammy, I'll start with you. We've talked about China about 25 million times over the last year. I know you were in Yin and some other China names. What's the story over there?
Yeah, I'm still in some of the names. I don't know. I think it looks still okay. It's just pretty wild. Am I sharing my screen?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is either a breakout failure, which it's looking likely, or we go back up, and this ends up becoming just another buy setup. It's just very, very, it's impossible to really read objectively and be able to predict whether we're still higher or whether this was just a breakout failure. So last week we were like right here at the top, and it was looking higher still, but then we gapped down. So this is the leveraged FXI basically. It's the same story. So again, pullbacks to the 20 have been getting bought. This one is pretty deep and came after a breakout. So that leads to usually a breakout failure. But we'll know in the next day or two whether we're higher or lower. If we are higher, then check this out. QFIN, a beauty. It's pulled back. It triggered already today. Looks really, really bullish. All-time high is a China name. There's some other names like TAL, which I'm still in, right? There's also the Tiger, I think, is looking interesting. The HT is very bullish, but very, very sloppy because, again, they're ADRs. And then what else is bullish? DME is a little bit bullish. But my favorite from the China names is the QFIN. Right now, at least right now. Some of the names already reach targets like the BZ or, like the BZ mainly. And there was another one, but I forget what the symbol was. So we'll see how things shape up over the next couple of days. The single most important thing about Tesla and about even China, is are we in a long-term bear market, or are we in this was just a hiccup in a longer-term bull market? Is this the start of a longer-term bear market, or is it just a deep pullback that did a little bit of damage, but ultimately we're going to ignore it and move back up? That's the $1 million question that will determine whether I should stay in Tesla or get out. But I don't have any clarity about it, so I'm sticking with my positions. I don't have any clarity about the market as to whether it's longer term, or that we bottomed already. So that's the if you have an answer to that question, you have clarity about how to move forward. I don't have clarity about it. That's the hardest thing. So that's kind of my take on China. Again, the favorite would be the QFIN, but there's some other names, the TAL. These are some other swings that I like, that I put on the list, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. And a couple of shorts actually in the JKS and the IOVA. So, but I think we'll get to that later.
Okay, all right. I want to move straight on to the question of April 2nd, because we have the big tariff deadline is going to hit right before we got on this. Before I heard about the China auto tariffs, I was like, feels like it's going to be the typical situation where Trump says a bunch of crazy stuff, and then sort of at the last minute, it sort of calms down and life moves on, and we get like a sell the news reaction. So, Derek, I'll go back to you. I'd like a calm, relaxed overview of like what you're thinking on, if you think this April 2nd deadline even means anything, because between now and then we have like 6 days for all hell to break loose, 15 different ways.
Sure. So just real quick, I bought back in Alibaba for the first time today in a while. I had gotten out of all of my China exposure. Sammy and I were both super bullish way before it was fashionable on China. I got out of all my China exposure into that up move, and I rebought Alibaba today for the first time. I'm looking for a move back to 150 for the moment, but we'll take it as it comes. On to the tariff thing. The tariff thing is really tough right now, because I still think that this market has been heavily pricing in that the whole tariff situation is a negotiating tactic, and that he will never actually fully do 25% tariffs on Canada, Mexico, more tariffs on Europe, more tariffs on everybody in the way that he has actually said. So it's going to be an interesting one on how this actually plays out, because I think that there is risk on both sides. I think that there is some degree of tariff news that is priced into the market, hence the 10% correction that we just went through, which could enable us to really rip higher if there are, positive negotiations in that front. We just saw yesterday India come out and basically say, hey, we're willing to get rid of almost all of our tariffs, just don't give us more tariffs. And if more countries, if more regions do that, it's a win. It's not impossible for us to end up with even lower net tariffs after all is said and done with negotiations when this actually occurs. It's not impossible. And India right now, I think, is the first case in point on that. With that said, I don't know if they're all going to be willing to negotiate as quickly as India, where India just came to the table and said, hey, we're going to get rid of almost all of our tariffs if you guys just don't put more tariffs on us and you get rid of them. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for tit for tat with Europe and here in North America. And if that escalates, I don't think that we're priced in on the downside fully. I think that if we were to truly move forward with everything that Trump has said on tariffs, that we go into a recession and we go into a bear market. But if it's a negotiating tactic and every region does what India just did, then there's a good chance we're back at all-time highs. And then I want to turn to the technicals to give me clarity. And like Sammy was just saying, I don't have a lot of clarity from these technicals either. So it's just a very tricky spot right now. I do think that April 2nd matters, but April 2nd might just end up being a jump-off point for more negotiations down the road, which could potentially lower them further. But I mean, we see it every day. We just saw it like 3 minutes before we started our meeting here today, that an announcement came out that Trump is going to announce car tariffs as soon as Wednesday, and then immediately the market got hit again. And that's just the environment we're in. We are in a headline risk environment where anything can be said at any time. Yesterday, he's getting rid of tariffs and the market rips higher. Today, he's adding tariffs, the market rips lower. It's a little bit tricky in that regard.
Okay, all right, JR.
Yeah.
JR, what are you doing?
It was just moving something. I'm you just have to embrace the chaos. I think the world and the market is going to have the biggest FAFO moment in stock market history when April 2nd comes around, and this market, which has been completely underestimating how serious Trump is on tariffs and underpricing that probability, will get slapped in the face with the biggest case of normalcy bias in the history of humanity. Okay? We are going, I think Trump is serious as a heart attack, and we're going to have a very, very unpleasant moment on April 2nd, in my opinion. What I was telling my traders in the room on Friday is I said we have a wall of worry moment type of relief rally in the market for a week. I said we have a week. If Orange Man can manage not to say too much between the hours of 9:30 and 4 between Monday and Friday, it's like a New York City parking allowance. Okay, we have a chance to really rally and do a 50% retracement on the SPX. That's not working out so good, but we had some really nice longs that we put on, and we've been reaping the rewards of that. However, like if you're looking for charts to light the way here, okay, for you, I mean, you might as well be using a glow-in-the-dark ninja suit for stealth, okay? They're not going to help because this is a completely outcome-oriented market. If we get slammed with tariffs on April 2nd, we're going much, much lower. We're putting in a D-leg in an ABCD, okay? We're going like 10% lower. If we mostly avert disaster, which seems highly unlikely to me, okay, then I think all-time highs is the name of the prize.
Okay, I'm going to take the other side of both of you guys. I think everything's going to work out just fine because I love America and I believe in the American people, unlike some of the people on this call. So let us know in the chat down below. Do you think April 2nd will be a disaster? And no, Mr. Blubberhead, you can't say it depends. I need a yes or no. We're in the certainty business here. Okay.
Hey, Derek, could you have Michael pass the Kool-Aid? Thanks.
You don't understand my theory of the United States of America.
Okay,
if we've made it this far, don't bet against us.
Roger
we
that.
shouldn't have made it this far, and that means
Okay.
we can go anywhere. Anything can happen in this wonderful country.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Love it.
All right. Okay. All right. But before we get to ideas, I'm going to ask our panel here a serious question, and there's no filibustering. There's no explanations. I need a yes or no. Okay. I'll start with you, Derek. Is it okay to eat Chicago pizza?
Chicago pizza isn't pizza. It's like Pizza Hut. It's the same style of pizza as Pizza Hut, but it's not even as good as Pizza Hut. Like it's
So your answer is no.
I've only been to Chicago one time ever. Immediately went to like the most famous Chicago style pizza, and I was just like, "What is this crap? This is just something else. It's some other version of food. Don't even call it pizza. Call it, I don't know, Chicago dog shit. I don't care."
That's a $10,000 fine by the compliance department. You cannot use that word on this call.
You told me I'm supposed to curse more.
I said, first of all, I said yes or no, and I got like a 3-hour speech. Okay, JR, I'll ask you. Yes or no, is it okay to eat Chicago pizza?
The fact that you're just asking me that question is so freaking wrong and un-American. I just refuse to stoop to this level of nonsense.
Okay, all right.
It's not pizza.
JR's in case
Okay.
he can't answer the question either. Sammy, you're my last hope. Is it okay to eat Chicago pizza?
So I used to do this mentorship in person, and I did it a couple times in Chicago, and I found out that Chicago is like my favorite city in the country. I love Chicago. So I, just like Derek, I decided to go to the highest rated pizza restaurant so I can try this Chicago style pizza. And I literally couldn't finish the first bite. I'm sorry
It's a
to
cheese
say.
pie.
I literally couldn't eat the first bite. And it's awful. It's like, it's not like it's okay. It's not pizza, number one. Number two, it just tastes awful. So that's how I feel about that, even though I loved Chicago and I'd like to go back soon.
Yeah,
I feel
second
like
that.
Yeah, I feel like Chicago pizza was made by the makers of Mylanta. You know what I mean? And it's a giant scheme to just give people acid reflux. That's what my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's funny. I think Chicago pizza is awesome.
You're
Daniel,
from New York. I don't know how you like Chicago pizza. I mean, that's where you get good pizza. New York, not Chicago.
It's because I love all of America. I'm not gonna like insult one of our greatest cities. It's different, but it's okay. Not everybody has to be the same. Anyway, let's move on because this is just gonna get ugly. I can tell already. Okay. Now I have after the last few days in the market, I have about $130 left to put to work. And I need to know what to do. So I will start with Derek. Derek, do you like anything here? Do you hate anything here? Except for the obvious.
I think that there's a real chance here that this market just goes into a period of time where it actually just frustrates the hell out of everybody. Do I still have my screen share up? So
I'll bring it up.
Everyone's talking, myself included, I just did it. Are we going to immediately break lows? Are we immediately going to break highs? There's a real chance that we actually just chop in a range that is within the range of this first move down. I think that there should be some degree of an underlying bid to this market, at least for the next couple of weeks. The systematic funds that are out there are buyers right now. So they are providing some support. The CTAs are buyers. Vol control, if realized vol stays low, the vol control systematic funds should be pretty big buyers over the course of really starting tomorrow through all of next week for sure. And then we have a really big pension rebalance. It's supposed to be happening at the end of this month. That is, last I saw, set to buy $28 billion worth of S&P. So I actually do think that there's going to be some degree of an underlying bid to this market, at least in the relatively short term, where I don't think that we are going to get like the speed of the movement from 610 to 550. I do not think is going to be repeated from 575 down to 510 or whatever that equivalent move is. I don't think that we're going to see that degree of a speed or that degree of a sell-off. So I think there's an underlying bid to the market, which could create chop. Now, can we break higher? Maybe. If we can get some more positive clarity on the tariff thing like we were already discussing, I think you really need to get the long-short funds and the long-only funds to start to buy. You're going to get the systematic funds with an underlying bid to the market, but systematic funds are exactly that. They're systematic. They just do exactly what the rules-based strategy says to do. If realized vol comes down, vol control funds buy. It's really as simple as that. They're not making decisions based on what happens with tariffs. So what can get the long-short funds and the long-only funds that sold a lot into this down move to also start to reestablish their buying? I think it's getting more clarity from the economy and the administration that could then really bring us higher. But what that leads to in my mind for the moment, and I'm always adjusting my thought process literally day to day, is that we might just see some pretty big chop in between, I don't know, 585 and 560 in the SPYs. Frustrate the hell out of everybody for a while. Maybe eventually we get a tightening pattern that then breaks in one direction or the other as we get more clarity. There's some more long run numbers that we'll begin to see coming out on the economy when for example, jobs, I think are going to become increasingly important at some point. I don't think we've seen it yet. We're going to see in the unemployment numbers all the government layoffs. And then we need to see if those government layoffs actually translate into any private sector layoffs as well. That's a big question mark. and we'll see if growth slows down, and we'll see what inflation does. And then this market can build out maybe a wedge, build out a consolidation, break in one direction or the other, and then we can go. So not the answer that anybody wants, but it's like I said earlier, a big part about trading is to know when you feel like you have a strong advantage and lay into it. And when you have an expectancy that things might be a little bit choppier, well, guess what? The good news is earnings season is about to start. So sign up for Sammy's earnings season newsletter so that you can get all the calls ahead of time, and you can have something to focus on that's going to trade a little bit more independently compared to what the market's going to do. And you can find yourself an advantage into broader market chop. With that said, I do like China. I mentioned already, I got back into Alibaba this morning. So I still like China. I tried today to buy IonQ. I think that the market thwarted me a little bit on that. I'm not a huge believer in these quantum computing stocks, but I was looking at this as like a potential of a little 1, 2, 3 play, I think Sammy likes to call it. I used to just call it an inside nut, but I like his terminology better. Big day one on some volume, tight rest day, inside day yesterday. And then on top of that, had a positive news catalyst this morning. Google came out and had positive things to say about quantum. So I got a really big opening move. I was buying it pre-market below 26. Caught a really big opening move. I did manage to book some profit. I was planning on giving it to 25. The low's 25.02. So for the moment, I'm safe in the name, but I'm not going to give this too much room on the downside because I don't fully love it. But the name is trying to hold in there. It's trying to be green. If I get a little bit of market help, I think that this thing could potentially still work and go. So I'm trying to give it some time. I shorted MSTR this morning. I partially shorted it off the GameStop news. So GameStop came out and said that they are going to be getting involved as a crypto treasury or Bitcoin treasury or whatever. MSTR, my understanding is trades at a premium to its Bitcoin holdings, because if you want to participate in this concept of a Bitcoin treasury and this whole scheme that Michael Saylor is doing, you basically need to either be an MSTR or you need to be in the Japanese company that's been trying to do the same thing. As more and more companies get involved in that same scheme, that should lose its premium. So that was my like more thesis. And then on the technicals, it was 3 days up into some resistance as it gets into this like 340, 350 zone. So I was like, all right, I'm going to short some MSTR. I shorted some also pre-market above 340, and also plays into the fact that I want to have more shorts on to balance on some of the longs that I still have. So those are some of the ideas that I'm working with today. But I called out Dollar Tree as a long today. I see it's pulled back a lot. I didn't actually end up taking it, just had too much on my plate. But I thought that them selling off part of their business was good, and maybe this thing could break up through this 69.70 and give us some continuation. So there's a few things that I like. I don't have clarity from the market. I do think that there should be some degree of underlying bid that holds us in from just immediately breaking back down to 550. I need more clarity here, but we've got earnings season coming up, and that can give us something to focus on until we get that clarity.
Okay, JR, on to you, unless you're doing something ridiculous off camera.
No, I'm good. I was going to juggle some pins, but I decided against it. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Do you like anything? Do you just want to stay home, sell it all, and go to the beach?
Listen, you have to embrace the chaos, okay? You're a friggin' day trader, for crying out loud. Stop complaining. This market is amazing, okay? Everything is going to be okay. Here's what I'll say. I agree with my good friend Derek, not so long Smith anymore, that we have a complicated market. Okay, just looking at, I like to see the trends in cumulative tick and advanced declines in Yuval. Okay, and like you see a perfect picture of what happened. We had outrageous like 80-20 up down volume. Okay, we had cumulative tick that was super strong on Monday, degraded on Tuesday. And when it degraded on Tuesday, we saw a lot of the momentum names come in. You still had some of the Mag 7s pushing higher. And I warned my team. I said, guys, we have a bit of a divergence here in breadth. Okay, it could be leading to a little bit of a reversal off this doji in the SPX tomorrow. Okay, we have look at the advanced declines from Monday to Tuesday. Okay, it's like danger Will Robinson. So what do you do in a market like this? Well, for me, I'm keeping my longs on until I see the markup break down. and I went berserk on Friday. I bought a lot of stuff, very heavy on Tesla, and then a lot of other stuff. And what I'm looking at here, okay, as far as like, the S&P 500 is concerned, let me go to the 15-minute chart here. Okay, I need to just keep like really close track of fair value. Okay, so when we're in this kind of market where we're coming off of an accumulation, okay, reaccumulation, falling wedge, right? You have a new higher pivot low on the hourly, 56.03, and now we're failing to break out here on a leg higher. Then I'm looking for fair value. Okay. Where is the market going to consider fair value to the downside? This is not going to be an easy market to short. Okay, if you're looking at shorting this market, you're really going against the grain for a big variety of reasons. So find fair value. Okay, sell fair value at the value area high, and look to buy dips at value area low. And really, just beyond that, hang on to your pantaloons, be smart, manage risk, manage money, and everything's going to be okay. One thing we can count on is a ridiculous amount of volatility in the next few weeks and months to come. So it's nothing but good news. Okay, we're not fund managers, we're day traders, and what we look for most of all, at least what I look for most of all, is volatility. And this market is just an unending opportunity machine. So I'm a happy guy.
Awesome, JR. That made me feel better than the last time I went to sit down Pizza Hut. Now, have you been to sit down Pizza Hut? It's like magic. Okay, so before we close out with Sammy, I just want to make a special announcement. Next week, we're going to be discussing breakfast sandwiches. We're going to figure out what the best breakfast sandwich is. So, again,
why can't we do something less controversial like abortion or gun control, bro? That would be so much easier than breakfast sandwiches. Do you understand what kind?
The correct. We're going to do all of the above.
I have a lot of opinions on breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah, man, this is going to get ugly. I'm telling you right now.
All right, I'm going to request that everybody follows the instructions. I'm going to need yes and no answers to the questions. You can't be.
Okay.
This isn't politics. Okay, Sammy, my good friend, my brother
Mike,
in Tesla.
I was going to request that you hurry up because it's getting close to the afternoon here.
I'm done.
Jeez, bro. Thank you.
Sammy's all business.
Yeah, I'm all business. I'm in the living room. I got to get to the office.
It's on
the West Wing. I'm kidding. Derek, check out the DG if you liked the, and I think is that my chart? These are my charts. If you like the Dollar Tree, is it Dollar Tree? I think, yeah, the DLTR, the DG on the weekly looks kind of good, higher. So has plenty of room. Also on the monthly has room to the 20, but I'm not in it. I've been eyeing it, got in it once or twice, but it's really sloppy. But yeah, the DG looks higher. In terms of, I just want to say one last thing about tariffs, is that if everybody in the world is thinking Trump is bluffing and they call his bluff, well, guess what? Then it's going to be bad. I mean, the tariffs are going in place. But if everybody's thinking, no, he's deadly serious about it, then yeah, maybe the bad tariffs will be avoided. So that's kind of, I think, what the issue is that if they think that he's bluffing and they call his bluff, I don't think there's a way for him to back out of it. And I think we're going to have tariffs in a big way. But if they don't think he's bluffing, it's a different story. All right. In terms of some ideas, I got just 4 ideas for you, really. This TU as a swing, if the market it's not coming up. All right, let's type it in. TU, what the heck? Okay, there it is. So this is just as a swing tomorrow, if it can clear the hourly base. So if we look at the hourly chart, this is just a swing. If it can take out the base higher to about 1450. This is actually the least favorite of my 5 ideas here. QFIN we talked about. It's all-time high. Daily is amazing. Is a China name. So I like it a lot. It triggered today, but it's not too late, especially if you like it longer term. AIG is very slow, but look at the monthly on it. Look at that beauty. Just broke out, and it's putting in like a 1, 2, 3 pattern on the monthly chart. It's been basing, finally broke out. So if we can just next month in April take out the high, I think this has plenty of room to move up, like infinite amount of room if it wanted to. But this comes into play next month once this bar closes, and then if we take it out. I actually like a couple of ideas short too. So here they are. JKS looks like a disaster is about to happen. This is a China name too, but it's solar. So once today's bar closes, if we get a narrow range bar tomorrow, then under the narrow range bar as a 1, 2, 3, I like it already as is, like under today's low, short. The problem is it's going to be a big stop to place the stop above the tail or up here. So that's the issue. So that's why I want to wait for a narrow range bar and play it short as a 1, 2, 3 to the downside. That's JKS. And then the IOVA called it, was it last week? It was last week, I think, and it triggered. It didn't go anywhere, but it's starting to break down. So I like the IOVA short. So a couple of shorts, a couple of longs, and that's really all I like for now, at least.
Wonderful, Sammy. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Okay, folks, we will be back next week. We will be talking breakfast sandwiches. And we will be reacting to whatever's going on with the tariffs on April 2nd, because next Wednesday is April 2nd. Okay, everybody have a wonderful day. Go hug your dog, call your mom, say hi, and go make some money. All right. Have a wonderful day, folks.